Hello, in this video we're going to discuss Immortality, Part 3. So, as stated, the first way to return to heaven upon death in the first history involved Wormhole element. So I'll just describe how that was achieved. So what happened was the angels had to go with God to his work site, which is in another dimension and has zero gravity. From there, inside the chamber where God was created, the angel and God would die of asphyxiation. Then God would take them through a wormhole outside the chamber at the work site. Out in the area of the work site is a light that is produced by two elements that are put together, that are combined together, that produce light continuously. And that light is still going to this day. It is called the work light. You won't see it here in this universe. It is in another dimension. And so once outside, God created another dimension, and then inside that other dimension God placed a wormhole that went to it and put, it's a very precise thing, gravity element and wormhole element. So because the because planet 1 was 4 dimensions away, they had to have 4 marbles of gravity element around the wormhole element. And how it works is they would go from the work site into this other dimension through the wormhole, and they would experience interdimensional matter transfer diffusion. So the wormhole element and the 4 marbles of gravity element, which are quite tiny, would be sitting inside the this other dimension, and the angel would be pushed through the wormhole, and then the wormhole would be turned off once they're in that dimension, and the gravity element and wormhole element would be fused inside the soul of the angel, which is extremely dangerous and extremely painful. The first attempt at this, the wormhole element, wound up inside the angel who's a scientist's chest and almost killed his soul. So it was very, very dangerous. And how this works is when the angel dies, the wormhole element and the gravity element, which sit at the back of the neck by the spinal cord, they connect to each other when the person dies. There's a membrane of mana that is tiny, so it looks like a little disc the size of a 50-cent coin, and the mana wears away once the person dies, and the wormhole element contacts the gravity element marbles, and then the person's soul and body teleport to God and Mary's cave in heaven. That was the idea. Now, going through this sort of experience is extremely painful, and the person is in soul form, and it is very, very traumatic, because you wind up out in vacuum when God was doing it. Later on, it paid off, because the angel who's a scientist kept coming to planet 1 after Satan had died. So the reason why they did this is because God going to Planet 1, the first Earth, was extremely dangerous, and they would always die, or they'd often die going through it. So just remember, there was a fixed wormhole in Belize, and that was the only way to get to heaven. But if a wild creature attacked and killed someone, then they wouldn't be able to get to that wormhole, and the creature could kill their soul as well. So that's why this sort of thing came in handy. The angel, who is a scientist, died in the first history 400 million times. And he noticed something scientific, that he was always outside his body looking at himself while the bad experience was happening. In a lot of cases, we see evidence of this on Earth. In particular, Stonehenge and the Great Wall of China are locations that are relevant to the first history. And the angel, who's a scientist, did go to those locations in the first history and make discoveries. And a good example is in England, the 3 horses, the white horses, that are on the sides of hills that are made of stone. They're made at the same location as they were in the first history when the horse was discovered. But the thing about the horse was the particular breed that was discovered in the first history were the Knight's breed horse, which is quite massive. And these horses are aggressive. They hang up together as a herd, and they have nothing to do with anyone. If you try and approach them, they'll kill you. That's what they're like. They're extremely big and powerful creatures. So in order to accomplish this, the scientists just kept having to go back there. They get killed and then go back there again. He got killed 45 times trying to befriend the horse. So how he managed it was he became sneaky and observed their movements and made friends with the foal. And the foal kept being his friend when it became older, and he made friends with the other foals, and eventually one day he was able to tame and ride a horse. As I said, it's a dangerous thing, and he kept getting killed because the alpha male and alpha female, if they spotted him, attacked him. Knight's breed horses are very powerful, and they have an extremely powerful bite. They can break your arms and legs with them. They have an extremely powerful kick. They can impale you on their leg and run around with you still attached. What's more, to make matters worse, they can find it funny and laugh at you. So that's another thing about horses. They have a sense of humour. Eventually, so when the scientist died, he was teleported back to heaven to God and Mary's hall. Now, in God's situation, he observed the angels on earth, in particular the scientist, and used to follow him with a wormhole to keep an eye on him. So he used a wormhole to observe him while he was on earth making these discoveries. Now, about the stasis pods, stasis chambers, and the fact that humankind right now have a body that's inside a stasis chamber, and they have another body that's on Earth. So we all existed in earlier histories, and we're blessed with the second chance of living in this history, or another chance of living in this history. It's a fresh start for everyone, and so that's why there's a connection to a baby chassis that's non-sentient, and you get to be brought up as a child and live life again. This has in fact saved many people. Many people's lives have been saved from it because of the events that have occurred in previous histories involving Satan. And so it gives people another chance, and that is why it is done. There is a special place in heaven where people can go back and use their original chassis, and it has a lot of safety protocols involving the Holy Spirit, so no harm ever comes to the original chassis. So in heaven, angels who are martyrs actually get to relive their lives, and it's done the same way in heaven, where they're born as a baby and raised in heaven, and have a good time. I'm the Archangel Daniel, and I'm from heaven.